Hey guys, it's Chandler, and welcome to the Healing Heroes.
I promise you.
I'm Chandler Stroud, an executive, wife, and busy mom of two, who after years of living with anxiety, health struggles, and an unshakable feeling like I should be happier, made a profound discovery that changed everything. Join me on a journey where unexpected paths lead to healing and more happiness. On this show, we'll explore unconventional ways to unlock more joy in your own life with the help of my very own healers and trusted advisors, the Healing Heroes. Hey everyone, welcome to today's conversation where we'll be talking about the power of tarot cards and the role they can play in helping you tune into your intuition and help you see your life and circumstances from another vantage point. I found tarot to offer a great deal of reassurance during challenging times, insightful when life got confusing, and be a guiding light when I was in need of answers. Back in the year 2000, during my senior year of high school, my mother went on a weekend away with my aunt, and they saw a tarot reader on their trip. My mom was kind enough to record and later transcribe that reading, and she shared a passage from it that pertained to the future that the cards had revealed for me. I have that transcription to this day in a journal, and I'm going to read a brief excerpt for you now. Chandler has a lot of good skills and talents right there available to her. So no matter what she chooses to do, she'll be good at it. And in the course of her life, she shouldn't limit herself to only one thing. I see her as being very sharp. She gets to the point. She has a clarity about things, and she can be very assertive and aggressive when she has to be. She can think on her feet. Whatever the situation is, she'll figure it out and she'll act on it. Now that's the good news. The bad news is, and it's not bad really, but because she picks up on things quickly and is bright, she intimidates people. And there are senior people around her. They get intimidated by her because she does pick up on things quickly. Now, these are people who might be insecure about something or see her as a threat because she's young, bright, and aggressive. So while she cannot change the other people, she may want to be sensitive to that. And if she finds herself in that kind of situation, somehow let them know she's not there to take over. But she's got a lot of choices. And when she has choices, she doesn't get freaked out. She figures it out and takes the path. So guys, you have to understand something. For an 18-year-old girl with incredibly low self-worth, again, I was still carrying the baggage of my childhood trauma. I had struggled academically, and I was constantly battling my weight. This reassuring message was like gold. I could return to it again and again throughout the past 24 years of my life to remember who I am deep inside and what I'm capable of. It helped me come home to myself in a way whenever I felt disconnected. Which is why today I am so happy to have Cait with us. For some context, Cait is the younger sister of my very close mom friend in town. And I found her because she would come to our mom nights to do readings for all of us. She's the best, and I'm so excited to tell you a little bit more about her. Cait DeMello is a business empowerment and embodiment coach who describes herself as an inner power activator on a mission to help women return home to the power that resides within so they can develop their business from that place. She has a master's in counseling and is certified in 20 plus coaching modalities, including inner child, parts work, and breathwork. She's deeply invested in her spirituality and swears tarot saved her life by allowing her to go deeper and connect with her own inner voice. For the past 7 years, she's used tarot as a way to get clients to go deeper faster and to help them let down their guard, tap into their own intuition, and clear out the blocks holding them back. Through processes of embodied clarity, belief rebuilding, and parts reintegration, Cait creates an electrified container for soul-led women to reclaim their voices, stand in their unshakable worth, and make business decisions from a place of energetic alignment with their highest selves. Cait, I am so excited to have you here. Thanks for being with us.
I'm so pumped. Yes. I'm so excited to be here. That was such a beautiful intro and opening. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to meet with us. And of course, like, I didn't know you 24 years ago, but I'm really excited to go back in time and hear how you got started on your journey. So we will definitely get to that in this episode. Can you share a quick overview of what tarot is?
Tarot is considered a divination tool. So if you've heard of runes or like looking into a crystal ball kind of a thing. And so divination is really a tool that people can use to tap deeper into their intuition, to connect with whether it is nature, God, guides, to receive messages and to intuit different things. And it's a way of gaining clarity, insight, or information on past, present, or future events. So that's kind of like an overview. And tarot is a deck of 78 cards, and it's broken into two parts. The first part resembles a deck of playing cards. So everybody's pretty much used to them. And it's got similar suits. You know, a typical playing deck has hearts, clubs, spades, and diamonds. And a tarot deck has pentacles, wands, cups, and swords. And each of those correlate with a different element. Cups would be water, which kind of represents your emotions and feelings. Wands is fire, which is passion and creativity. And then swords is air, which is action and thought. And then the last one is pentacles. And pentacles has a little bit more of a broader, more encompassing element, but it's earth, and it represents materials, wealth, worth. And, you know, I like to interpret it as self-worth. And I think that's like a really important piece because it's how you value yourself. So that's what's called the minor arcana, or the playing card. And then there's also something called the major arcana. And the major arcana is like overarching life themes. It starts with the 0 card, which is the Fool, and it kind of takes you on the Fool's journey and the different things that you as the Fool will encounter in your life. So it has different things like there are some cards that may be hard for people to experience in the deck, like death. And then there's a card called the Tower card. And there's also the Devil. And so those can be harder to visually see and work with. But when you get to like the underlying meaning of them, it's really something that everybody experiences in their life. So for example, the Devil is less about the actual devil, and it's more about your choices, your vices, and your interaction with those, and recognizing that, you know, when it comes to things like your vices, you actually have choice in the matter. So it's such a beautiful teaching tool, and it's a beautiful way of really expanding your perspective on something and expanding your understanding of different things.
That's so incredible. I love how you said it can be a tool for better self-understanding. I think that's so powerful.
Yeah, I really look at the tarot as like an amplifier. So there is a danger of, when you read tarot, having it inform you and having it tell you your decision. And I think that most people, I mean, probably like us, like I was such a seeker as a kid. I needed to know who I was, and I didn't know how to figure that out. So I would look to astrology everywhere. And I think that's what connected me to tarot initially. And so I would look for it to give me answers. But I think when you start to hone your own skills, build your own trust through using the tarot, and harness the intuition that comes with it, you start to look at it as an amplifier and expander of your own innate abilities, your own innate trust, your own innate sense of your own inner compass, kind of. And so rather than it telling you what to do, you look to it to expand your perspective on things and to really see things from a different angle and allow in more feedback, more information. And so yeah, I really like to look at it as an amplifier of your own innate skills, abilities, intuition, and understanding of whatever it is that you're going through, or whatever it is that you're seeking for more on.
I especially like how you mentioned the tarot cards make it easier or more accessible to accept difficult information or things that you might not want to face. And I think that's really interesting because it sort of levels the playing field and takes away the emotion of being told like, hey, this is an opportunity area for you. Instead, you're hearing through the cards, you know, this is what I'm seeing. So in that way, I would imagine you can kind of break through and people are more receptive to the messages they're getting from the cards versus similar messages they might be getting from family members or friends, right?
Oh yeah, it totally breaks the fall. Yeah, it definitely does. I think it's also like there is an element of mysticism there. There is an element of that spiritual aspect there. And I think, oftentimes it can kind of break through the veil, for lack of a better term, because, there is a sense of another presence with you when you're reading the cards. I always say the cards don't lie, and they pick up on the energy, and they pick up on whatever it is that needs to be presented in the moment. And I think it's not even necessarily the cards that are doing that. It's the combination of the reader and the receiver and the cards. And it's the relationship between all of the three and the energy that comes to the table. And I think what ends up happening is for a tarot reader who truly trusts in their own intuition, their own ability, their own real innate power, relinquishes the need to be the provider of the message and allows the message to flow through them. I think that is when you really get into picking up on each other's energy and creating a space where it's almost like there is like it creates a little bit more of a spiritual space where you can open yourself up to receiving because you feel like it's coming from somewhere greater than both of you, whoever's present, or greater than the group. And I think that in today's society, we kind of neglect that spiritual aspect. And I think it's making such a boom lately, and which is amazing, which is why jumping in on what you're doing and being a part of this is so magnificent, because we get to bring it to everyone and allow people to dip their toes in the water of finding something different and connecting to something bigger. And I think that helps break down the walls, because it's like, oh my God, this message was meant for me. And when you have that level of connection to what you're receiving, it makes it easier to receive, and you want to know more. You want to receive more. You want to open yourself up, because deep down there's like an inner connection, an inner knowing. And so I think it can really be a beautiful process. So whenever I go into any type of reading, I always say my own, for lack of a better term, prayer. Even coming on here, I'll tap into my own self, and I do use the word God, but you can use universe, whatever it is. And I really ask, please allow whatever comes from me to be for whoever's listening, whoever receives it, their highest good, my highest good, the highest good of those around us, and allow me to be a vessel of whatever needs to come through. And I think when you really trust yourself and listen to that and open yourself up to that, such beautiful things can happen.
I could listen to you all day.
I could talk all day.
I could literally listen to you all day. I am keep going. Cait the movie, just keep rolling. That was beautifully said. And I'm curious, why would someone initially reach out to you for a one-on-one session?
Any tarot curious person can reach out to me for a session. I can read for pretty much anything. My business, That Confidence Chick, it really is geared towards female entrepreneurs who are in the spiritual realm, or who are open to running their businesses from a more spiritual, trust, intuition-led place. And the reading that I typically do is it's a tarot coaching reading, but it's all about the energy that you are bringing to your business. And so it's a 3-card reading. It is energy that is present, that you're not tapping into, that you really need to harness, energy that's present that you got to start letting go of, you got to release, and energy that is not present that you want to start calling in. So that's what my offering is. So anyone who is looking to start a business, who's in the early stages of building their business, who feels stuck or stagnant in their business, or who's like, all right, something just feels off. I can't get in the groove. I just, I can't get in the flow or anything like that. It's a great tool. Oftentimes I will bring in some work with chakras too, because the cards can indicate different things, and I'll receive messages and visions and things like that. That's not the point of the reading, but that can sometimes be part of the experience. So I would say if anyone is tarot curious, this can be applied to any aspect of your life, but my business, That Confidence Chick, is for it's geared towards female entrepreneurs.
Very cool. And I think that's so unique because, again, there are a lot of perceptions about what tarot is and what the intent of it is. And I don't think it's widely recognized or accepted necessarily in a corporate professional setting. And so I think it's really cool that you're trying to bridge the gap of the mysticism aspect of tarot with like the everyday, tangible, really rational business side of things.
And I think everybody gets so caught up in taking things so seriously. You know, it's like do or die a lot of times, especially for entrepreneurs. You know what I mean? Like you're building your business and it starts to not be fun because you need the result so badly. And if you're coming from that energy when you're building your business or when you're doing anything in life, when you're coming from the energy of, I need the result to happen right now or else, then you're coming from a lack and a scarcity energy. And I think what tarot can do is lighten that up a little bit. And it can bring a little bit of a different perspective and a little bit more of play and a little bit more of like what the universe has in store. I really, really like it as a tool for that because it can lighten things up a little bit. It creates the ability for people to let go of the old way of doing things and open themselves up to receiving new perspective, to receiving new insight, to receiving a new way of looking at things. And I think everyone could use a tool like that. And it doesn't have to be tarot, but this is just one. This is just one of many. And so I think if anyone were really curious, I'd say go pick up a deck. Any store that sells them, like usually crystal shops, they'll typically have like decks that you can kind of play through and look and feel around with. So do that for free.
And you touched on what we're doing here on this show, which is so exciting. We're giving everyone the opportunity to hear more about what tools exist to tap into that intuition and think about really taking care of yourself from a past, present, and future lens, because it is holistic, right? And I think tarot is such an effective way to maybe get comfortable with a different vantage point where some of the other tried and true ways that you've been approaching your life may not be working anymore. So I think it's really powerful in that respect.
And I'll read for myself too. And sometimes if I'm feeling a little stuck, I'll reach out to a friend who'll do some readings for me too. So it's like, you know, you can use them in your everyday life. So there's also something called oracle cards as well. And that's like a vast array of things. Some have colors, some have elements, some have spiritual entities and different types of gods or goddess archetypes and things like that. And so each morning, part of my meditation is I'll just kind of pull a card for the day and say like, you know, what is it that I need to know today? Or, you know, I'll ask the deck a question and then I'll do some journaling on it. And that's how I'll start my day.
I love that morning routine. I want to come back to that at the end, actually, with other things people can do to tap into the power of tarot. And you used that approach right before this call, too. Didn't you pull a card before our conversation today?
You know, I was saying before I like to kind of tap into myself. And oftentimes I'll say, you know, what is it that I need to know going into this? Or like, what is it that I need to bring into this? What kind of energy? And so I did. I have it right here. I pulled the King of Pentacle cards.
She's holding the King of Pentacles card up if you're not watching on YouTube.
Yes, I'm holding it up. And there's like this wise elder man with a wolf next to him, which is amazing because wolf, I swear, is my spirit animal.
Love that.
But yeah, so the King of Pentacles is all about when you get into the pages, knights, kings, and queens of the suits in tarot, kind of like King, Queen, Jack of the regular playing card deck. It becomes more of a personification of the suit. So the King of Pentacles is almost like your inner knowing of your wealth and your worth. It's like your inner knowing of what it is that you have to offer and the ability to offer it. I think that, you know, for today, the biggest thing that I took from this is really the owning of your worth and the owning of what it is that you have to share, both you and I coming together, doing this and creating this and trusting that this is what is meant to be shared with the world.
I love that so much. Thank you for pulling that before the conversation.
I'm telling you, the cards never lie. They're like, you're going to get what you need.
That's great. Tell me a bit more about how you've used tarot in the past and how it's helped those seeking your advice and guidance.
I started getting into tarot because I have always been a seeker of figuring out who I am. And I think, you know, to get a little bit vulnerable, I feel like I always looked to the world around me, including my incredible sisters, to inform me of who I was, because I have a little bit of a different style than them. I'm the tarot reader, I'm a little bit more of spiritual. So I have been a little bit different my whole life. And I, on a very deep level, without anybody actually saying that to me, I just felt it. And so I think growing up, I always looked to different things to inform me of who I was. I mean, I would gravitate towards the astrology section of like Cosmo or whatever. And I feel like there are so many people out there who look to those things to inform them of who they are because they feel like it's such reassurance. It's like, oh my God, there is a reason that I am the way that I am. There is a reason that I'm like this. Like, oh my God, my Sagittarius side is like, it's supposed to be this way. I'm supposed to be a wanderer. I'm supposed to not have the straight and narrow path. And I think I was constantly comparing myself and comparing like what I actually wanted to what other people were doing. And it created this turmoil inside of me where I would put away what I want because I felt like it was wrong, even though no one was telling me it was. I just didn't know that I could explore it. And then I think like the cards had probably been calling me for a really long time. Like when I was a child, I kind of started telling you this story earlier on. I was always playing with a deck of cards. Always. I never really knew what tarot was. I was always playing with a deck of cards. I was shuffling them. I was asking my sisters to play with me. Nobody wanted to play with me because I would always win. For some reason, it just felt normal and natural to me. So fast forward, a friend came to visit me about, God, I feel like it's 10 years ago now. And she brought a deck of oracle cards with her. And I was playing with them and I was like, why does this feel familiar? Feels like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So the next day I went out and bought myself a deck of tarot cards and I just started playing and learning and intuiting and jotting down notes. And so I think like from there, I started to really just turn to them to gauge what was my intuition telling me? What was I learning? What was I intuiting from the cards? Could I figure out what card is going to be next? And no, I never could, but
I was like, can we go to Vegas together? Because I love blackjack and I want to be on Team Cait.
I'm sure there are people out there that can do that, but that skill never dropped in. But and so I'll use them to journal with. I'll use them if I'm feeling stuck in my own business or life. I'll turn to the cards just to kind of expand my understanding of where I am. Every year, right around New Year's, I'll do a year ahead spread and I'll kind of gauge the theme for each month or each season. And so I'll use them in all sorts of different ways. And I work with a woman who will ask me all the time, who's like, could you just pull my cards today? Could you just kind of see what's going on today? And I'm like, yeah, let's go. Let's do it. So, so I'll use them in all sorts of different ways. But the undercurrent of how they're used for me is expansion, intuition, and greater understanding. So the way that I've been using it most recently, especially with clients, is to help them understand the energy that they're bringing to their business and how they want to change that. What's so cool about using tarot is it's almost like, sometimes it can almost be like a Rorschach. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's like the ink blot where people look at it and tell what they see on there. And I think that you get to take whatever it is that you feel is meant for you, and you get to kind of leave whatever isn't. I was feeling a little stuck in my business and like, why isn't it going this way? Or, which direction do I need to go? So I did my own reading for me. And in the energy, the last card, the energy that I need to pull in, I got the Three of Swords. And for anybody that knows tarot, Three of Swords is a really hard card to get. It's almost like a bleeding heart with three swords stabbed into it. It can really mean heartache. It can mean breakup. It just means like pain. And, what I took from that is I need to be more vulnerable. I need to share. I need to use my pain and harness that as a way to connect with people instead of having a guard up, instead of trying to look perfect or be perfect or have a certain persona be perceived by others. And I really need to allow people in to my truth. And so that's just kind of like a way that it can really open you up and like break you open a little bit and let your guard down. And it's been on my mind to share a lot more. You know, there are certain things that I don't talk about as much, and I feel like it's calling me forward to really step into that space and to be other people's permission slip. And so I think, you know, that's a more personal example, but I've had clients who have come in and I'll read their cards and all of a sudden it's like, God, yeah, I didn't even realize that was showing up for me, or I thought I'd healed that. And it's like, you know, we all think we're all working on different things. We all think we're healing, but it's just such a beautiful mirror. And I think one thing that you said when you were reading, the reading that your mom got is it was like an affirmation or like reaffirming for you. And oftentimes, more often than not, the cards are just going to reflect back to you what you already know. And so that's how they build your intuition. That's how they reaffirm your trust, because you get to look at them and it's whatever you're intuiting. It's your message that you get to receive. And my job as a coach is honestly to bring people back to that. You are the expert on your own life. You absolutely are. And I always will say in my readings, I'm always like, listen, your input is just as important, if not more important than mine. So I'll help you understand what these cards are saying, but whatever's coming through for you, you've got to share so we can really go deep and we can really explore. And I think that's how I use it with my clients and with other people, and really helping them expand and go deeper. It helps you to go to the layers that you're not willing to go to. I actually have a client who describes herself, if I were an onion, the top 3 layers I've got, like everybody can see, and, you know, and I know them so well. But then when you get to the other layers, it's like there's so much resistance, and these help you to kind of get past that resistance, because the truth is right there in front of you. And the truth is being spoken to you. It's up to you to really be able to receive that. It's up to you to really be able to be open to exploring that, you know, or whoever's receiving the message. It's up to them. But I was doing a reading for somebody else the other night, and I did my 3 cards, and they were like, yeah, no, not that first card. That doesn't count, or like that doesn't apply, or something along those lines. And I was like, I really hate to say this, but your response is kind of confirming the message. Because it was something around like opening yourself up to different ways of doing things. And they were like, yeah, no, not that one.
Just sit with that for a second.
Yeah. I was like, okay. And you know, and you gotta work with the person, and it's really all about that relationship and that safety. And if they're not feeling safe, maybe not because of me, maybe because of me, but you know what I mean? If they're not feeling safe enough to receive it, then maybe that's not for them to receive. And I think that's the most important piece of this, is not forcing anything, not like, my word is not law. When I'm reading the cards, my word is absolutely not law. I'm helping I'm helping my clients to go deeper. And if they're not ready to fully receive it, I'm going to work with them exactly where they are. I'm not going to force my message onto them and say, I'm right, you're wrong. I'm going to say, okay, talk to me about that. You know, tell me where there's resistance. I think, you know, people can sometimes look at tarot as it's from the devil or something. And I think you can look at it like that, or you can open yourself up to a different perspective and allow it to be a tool that amplifies your own inner knowing.
A tool to amplify your own inner knowing. That's so good. And I think what you're saying about trusting the reader is so important, because what we're ultimately saying, not just with tarot, but acupuncture, mediumship, all the things we talk about on this show, right, is you're getting vulnerable. Healing is messy. You cannot heal until you face the hard things, and the hard things are hard for a reason. And you're not going to talk about them with just anyone. So you have to trust the person that's creating that space that makes you feel safe to really go deep and peel back that onion. So I think what you're touching on in terms of it is about a little bit of a dance and a relationship between the reader and the receiver is so important. And it's consistent with what we're hearing across all of the tools in your Healing Heroes toolkit to really go deeper and connect with yourself on a completely different level than you've ever been able to before.
I love that you're just reflecting that, because the number one most crucial factor to anyone who's going through the healing process for them to actually heal is safety, because the wounds happen when you're unsafe. And so you need a safe container in order to heal them and in order to re-explore them. Otherwise, you're really not going to heal. You're not going to be honest. You're not going to be, trusting. You're not, all of those windows are kind of closed. And so when I am coaching other people, or if I'm in what's called a discovery call, you can book a free call with me to see if I'm the right fit for you. And I do the same. Gauge whether or not, I'm the right fit for you. And my client's sovereignty is the number one most important thing. So if they're seeming hesitant or, uncertain, I'm not going to force it, because if we're not a fit, I'm not doing anything for them. And it's also okay to not be a fit. Like,
Yes.
I am not a coach for everybody. Not everybody wants my style, and the people that do are the people that come to me.
Always be coaching. That's your motto. Always be coaching. What other modalities or approaches are you now getting certified in and using with your clients as a result of tarot igniting this out of the box approach for helping women know themselves more intimately?
Oh, I love this question. Thank you so much for asking, because in my coaching business, I talk a lot about mind, body, soul alignment. And so the tarot aspect of that is a little bit more of that soul, universe-led, God-guided. And then I also do inner child work and parts work. So I just recently got certified in breathwork. It's called the Reset Method, and it's long form breathwork. So I'm actually including the body in everything that we do and tying it all together. I don't have to get deep into that, but that is a somatic body release, somatic meaning of the body, where I take people on a breathing journey and guide them to pair their breath with certain affirmations. And that allows them to release stagnant energy, limiting beliefs. It rewires their nervous system, and that's added to my repertoire.
We will definitely have a dedicated episode on that. As you know, we talk a lot here about mind, body, spirit, the importance of all three, and making sure you're really thinking about how you're healing your past, taking care of yourself in your present, and setting that vision for the future. What has been the most surprising thing you've seen along your journey to heal others?
But the most surprising thing is just how inspired I get by the people who are on their healing journey. That reminder of seeing other people on their healing journey and watching them return to themselves it's my why, because that's my goal in life. And I think in my own journey and in my own healing, I think my underriding message is, and you can subscribe to this or not, but this is how I coach and this is what I coach, is our only job in life is to return to our worth and to act from that place, to return to and remember our worth and act from that place. And God or universe will always provide what's next. And I think that is our only job. And so, if you are finding yourself struggling with, what are my gifts? What do I have to contribute? What do I have to provide? Just return to your worth, take action from there, and then God will provide the rest.
It's so true. Easier said than done for many. And that's why tarot is so important, guys, because it can help with that.
Yeah. And stop trying to be perfect.
Yeah. Agreed.
I'm talking to myself here.
Me too. I mean, it's hard, right? We've put such high expectations on ourselves. And I think self-worth is a tricky thing. It's so subconscious. It's different than confidence, very different than confidence, right? I love thinking about this because self-worth is that just innate knowing that you are worthy and valuable and lovable just as you are. Whereas self-confidence is competence. It's a little bit more about how you are or how good you are at something versus others, right?
I think it can be. The way that I teach confidence is because I used to subscribe to that, and I couldn't feel confidence in myself because I would look at people that didn't look like me and I would compare myself and be like, well, that's what confidence looks like. But I'd look in the mirror and I'd be like, I can't have confidence because I don't look like that. So I had to change the game for myself. And I kind of retrained myself to look at confidence as self-trust. And then self-worth is worth. So we've got the trust factor. Do I trust myself to take action? Do I trust myself to handle whatever outcome comes my way? And that's that confidence piece. Yeah, I trust myself. Yeah, I'm going to go in there and regardless of how people respond to me, regardless of the outcome of what happens by me trying to build my business, I'm going to trust myself that I'm doing what's right for me. But that self-worth piece, am I worthy of even doing that? Am I worthy of even trying, of even trusting myself? Am I worthy of being around others? I think like the way that confidence is taught and told to people is to like look around you and see it and try to emulate that. And I think we gotta change that game.
That is the best explanation of the difference between self-worth and confidence that I have heard to date. So thank you for sharing that today in this conversation. I think that's incredibly powerful, and I totally agree with you.
And so it's more than just taking action and doing the thing. It's getting yourself in mind, body, soul alignment to be able to know that regardless of what happens when I take the action, I'm coming from a place of self-trust and confidence and knowing that I'm worthy regardless of what happens.
But it truly is so difficult to evaluate where you are in your self-worth assessment and journey. Really, I said in the introductory episode of this show, I would never have told you I had low self-worth last year before I dove into this healing journey head first. I would have told you I'm successful and I'm confident and I've got all the things and I've got great self-worth. And then, whoa, you start to really unearth what you've been suppressing all this time without even cognitively realizing it, right? It's like your body creates these boundaries and your body starts telling you, whether it's through physical illness or anxiety or whatever else, your body speaks to you like, hey, hello, I'm down here and I've got a lot of stuff that's just kind of overflowing and I'd love you to just pay attention and like clean it out because we're struggling down here. Like that's truly how it felt. But I didn't know that that's what was going on, right? I had to get curious and really, find the courage to explore it a little further because it was uncomfortable. And so I think what you're saying is so powerful and so important. And I would just say to women, if you're listening, especially, don't assume that your self-worth is in a good place. The reason we are talking to you today and bringing you this show is these are tools that can be really fun. They're tools that are meant to help aid you in that journey to explore where your self-worth is and how to grow it if it's not where it should be. So that's just my plug. And I think the work you're doing is so incredible. And I believe so much in self-worth. And it's just a tricky thing, but we will be talking so much more about that on this show. What do you think is a common fear or misnomer about tarot reading? And what would you say to the listener who's thinking about giving it a try?
I'd say common fear or misnomer is that they're playing with the dark arts. It's like Snape or whatever in Harry Potter. And I think that we subscribe such a darkness to things that have to do with spirituality because things like the witch trials and the way that the fear clouds the judgment. And so comes to, if you are feeling a little nervous or anxious, what I would say to you is that's totally fine. Like it's normal. A lot of people do. And check in and see, is that your fear or is that someone else's fear that you just picked up on? Is that somebody else telling you? from the past? Or is there fear that if somebody knew that I was interested in this, I might be shamed? Or, and just kind of gauge and see, like, is this something that you're really feeling curious about and want to learn more about and want to shift the way that you're looking at it? Or is this something that just isn't for you? And I think really being aware of where you place judgment and checking in on that judgment, because judgment is a fear-rooted projection. And so I just urge you to gently and kindly question yourself and say, is this mine? Is this my fear? Is this my judgment? Or is this something that I've picked up from society? Is this something that I've been told? And if tarot's for you and you're feeling the call to it, start with that exploration. Go play with a deck for sure. And just go see what it's like. Shuffle it, pull a card, and just see what your body tells you as a message. There is no right or wrong. Some people may say there's one way to read the cards. There's another way to read the cards. I don't agree with that. There is also this old wives' tale that's going around that's like, you can't buy your own deck. It has to be given to you. I also don't subscribe to that. I think if you're waiting and waiting and waiting for someone to tell you that you should do this, then, you're going to be waiting for a long time. So, what I would say is the quickest way is to like visit a crystal shop or something that has tarot cards. I was just in a plant store the other day and they had decks out that you could play with. So
no way.
First start there. Just start sitting down, getting yourself into a present space, and start with one card and just say, what do you have to tell me? You could ask God, you could ask the deck, you could ask the universe, you could ask yourself, whatever it is. And then journal anything that comes through for you as you're sitting there looking at that card, and really just write it down. If you notice yourself overthinking, bring yourself into your body. Whatever that is, if you focus on your breath, or if you kind of like create some, I'm rubbing my hands back and forth, just kind of like getting you back into your body. Get yourself out of your head. You're going to receive more messages by being present and by being in your body and not overthinking. But yeah, just be with them and allow whatever comes through to come through.
So there's not exactly like a cheat sheet online that you would pull. Like you can literally sit with a deck of cards and look at the card and be with that card.
Yeah, if you want a structure, you can literally Google what each tarot card means and it'll come up. Most decks come with a little booklet, so you'll have something. I highly recommend, the way to most intuitively do this is to sit with the cards first and really just see what they say to you before going to the booklet. But everyone is different. And so if you are someone who feels like they need to be doing it right, I urge you to just see and to experiment and play around first. You can also lay them out, like lay out the Pentacle suit from Ace all the way up to King, and just see what story it tells you just by looking at it, and just play around with it. And that's the thing, is play. Like, don't worry so much. Don't worry about it being right, because the point of receiving messages and the point of being spiritual is what's right for you and what comes through for you. If you want to read for others, you may want to get a sense of what each card means and how it applies and what the actual journey of the deck is. The history of tarot is so cool. So it's just something to even think about or look into. But if you're doing this just for yourself and for personal reasons and for personal expansion, there is no right or wrong. And if someone's telling you that there is, then I feel like that's gatekeeping. And I think like it gets to be for whoever wants to use it, whatever it needs to be. And if you are feeling the pull to use it in a certain way, try it. I may be different in my own perspective on it, but that's how I did it.
No, I love how open-minded your approach is and how you think about it meeting people where they are. I think that's great. Cait, thank you so much for being here today. This was such a fun conversation. I know we have so many more to come, but this in particular was one that was close to my heart, and you're incredible. Thank you for all of the readings you've done for me and our friends. And thank you for being here.
Thank you for this entire experience and this community that you're building, Chandler. I'm so happy to be a part of it.
And to those tuning in, if you enjoyed today's conversation, please share it with friends and don't forget to subscribe. You can also visit healingheroespodcast.com to get resources, meet the heroes, and share your ideas for future episodes. Thanks for listening, everyone. And until next time, remember, be curious, be courageous, and be kind to yourself. You've got this.